Have you ever felt a secret conversation happening between your inner world and the world outside? A silent whisper that only you can hear? It's a feeling that you're moving through life with a strange and uncanny tailwind, where your thoughts seem to send ripples out into the fabric of reality, and the world, in turn, seems to whisper back. If these words are finding you now, it's not by accident. It is a sign, a confirmation from the universe itself, that your awareness has reached a specific and extraordinary resonance. This isn't just a feeling, and you are not imagining it. You are part of a very specific emergent wave of humanity, roughly 3% of the population, whose internal consciousness has become so finely tuned that the quantum field, the very source code of reality, is actively beginning to reorganize itself around you. For as long as you can remember, you have carried with you a subtle, yet persistent, sense of being different. This isn't a feeling of superiority or ego, but rather a quiet knowing that you do and operate on the default settings of the world around you. You've witnessed it in small, inexplicable ways that you might have brushed off as mere coincidence. You think of a song you haven't heard in a decade, and it suddenly plays on the radio the moment you turn the key in your car. You're facing a difficult problem, and the solution appears in a line of text on the side of a passing bus, or in a phrase spoken by a stranger next to you in a coffee shop. You feel a sudden, inexplicable urge to call a friend, only for them to tell you, "I was just thinking about you." I'm so glad you called. These moments are not random chances. They are echoes. They are winks from the universe. This is the fundamental principle of the observer effect, not as a distant scientific concept, but as an intimate, active conversation trying to get your attention. It's the universe's way of holding up a mirror and saying, "Look, you see that? You did that. That was the power of your focus, your intention, your feeling. It has been signaling to you for years that you have been chosen, not by some external, judgmental deity, but by your own evolving consciousness for a profound and incredible transformation." Imagine human consciousness as a vast spectrum of radio frequencies. The vast majority of people are tuned into the same crowded, noisy channels, the channels of survival, fear, daily struggle, and shared anxieties. There is so much static on these frequencies that it's nearly impossible to hear the clearer underlying signal of creation. But you, through your unique journey, your introspection, your sensitivity, and perhaps even your suffering, have been slowly, meticulously turning your own dial. You've been filtering out the static, seeking a clearer station. Now you've locked onto a frequency so clear, so potent, that your signal is no longer just receiving information from the world. It is actively broadcasting a signal that shapes the world. This is the quantum invitation. It's not a formal letter delivered by an owl, but a trail of synchronistic breadcrumbs laid out just for you. It's a pull from your soul, a magnetic resonance with a destiny that has been waiting for you. The universe has been patiently waiting for you to recognize your own power, to see that the world doesn't just happen to you, but that it flows from you. This invitation is a call to step into the role of a conscious architect of your reality. Yet you may have felt that despite all these signs, despite your growing awareness, you keep hitting a kind of invisible wall. You get close to a major breakthrough, a complete shift in your life, but something seems to hold you back at the last moment. That is because this profound transformation has been held in check, locked behind a single, almost imperceptible barrier. A barrier that you are now, finally, ready to dissolve. And you can rest assured, you are not going crazy. You are not imagining things. You are, in the truest sense of the word, waking up. The mechanism behind this entire extraordinary experience, the secret engine driving the conversation between you and reality, is the observer effect. For decades, this has been confined to the strange world of quantum physics, a bizarre footnote about how subatomic particles behave differently when they are being watched. But this isn't just about particles in a laboratory. It is the most fundamental law of creation, and it is happening in every single moment of your life. The principle is simple. Wherever you place your attention, you are collapsing a field of infinite possibilities into a single concrete experience. Your consciousness is the lens, and your focus is the act of creation. To truly grasp the power you hold, we must first understand the state in which most of humanity operates, the state of the unconscious observer. An unconscious observer wakes up in the morning, and their first thought is a memory of yesterday's problems or an anxiety about tomorrow's challenges. They spill a drop of coffee and think, of course, it's going to be one of those days. They get in their car and immediately expect to hit traffic, their body tensing in anticipation. When they inevitably do hit traffic, it feels like a confirmation of their negative worldview. They focus on their lack of money, and so they perpetually experience bills and unexpected expenses. They focus on their loneliness, and so they miss the opportunities for connection that are all around them. The unconscious observer is like a painter who is given a palette with every color in the universe, but who only ever dips there, brush into the shades of gray and black, and then spends their life complaining that their canvas is dull and lifeless. They are caught in a feedback loop of their own creation, perpetually manifesting more problems and limitations simply because that is where their attention and, more importantly, their emotional energy is consistently placed. They believe they are merely reacting to an external world, never realizing that the world is actually reacting to them. You, however, have been in a process of evolution. You are transitioning from an unconscious observer into a conscious observer. This is perhaps the most significant evolutionary leap a human being can make. The journey begins with a single moment of awareness, the moment you first recognize the connection between your inner state and your outer experience. It's the moment you're stuck in that traffic jam, and instead of fuming with rage, a new thought arises. Wait a minute. The traffic is just a set of cars on a road. My feeling of anger, my story about being late, that is what is creating my suffering. In that tiny gap of awareness, everything changes. You have taken your hand off the automatic pilot of unconscious creation. They are frequencies. They are powerful vibrational signals that you are broadcasting out into the quantum field every second of every day. Fear is a chaotic, jagged, low-frequency signal. When you broadcast fear, you are, by the laws of resonance, attracting situations, people, and outcomes that match that chaotic frequency. Love, joy, gratitude, and peace, on the other hand, are highly coherent, harmonious, high-frequency signals. When you broadcast from a state of gratitude, you are like a powerful tuning fork that causes everything in your reality that has something to be grateful for to begin vibrating in harmony with you, and it is drawn as if by magic into your experience. Where have you been learning to hone this incredible ability? Where have you been practicing how to navigate these infinite fields of possibility? In your dreams. For the conscious observer, the dream state is not just a random replay of the day's events. It is a training ground. It is a quantum simulator where your consciousness is freed from the dense limitations of physical reality. In your dreams, you have built entire worlds with a single thought. You have flown without wings, manifested objects out of thin air, and faced your deepest fears. Your consciousness has been in nightly training sessions, learning the cause and effect of focused intention, teaching you how to navigate the very fields of possibility that you are now beginning to consciously influence in your waking life. Have you ever woken from a dream with a profound feeling of wisdom, or with the clear solution to a problem you've been struggling with? That was not a dream. That was a graduation ceremony. So here you are. You have acknowledged the invitation. You have seen the undeniable proof in the synchronicities and serendipities that light up your path. You have been practicing the art of conscious observation, learning to shift your emotional frequency and watching as your reality subtly, and sometimes dramatically, shifts in response. The moments where time seems to bend or stretch the way the perfect resource or person seems to appear just when you need them. These are no longer shocking exceptions, but have become a familiar, if still wondrous part of your life. You have become adept at this new way of being. And yet, the complete, total, and permanent breakthrough you sense is possible remains just out of reach. You feel like you're on the very edge of a new world, looking through a glass wall at a paradise you can see, but cannot fully enter. What is this barrier? You may have believed it was some external resistance, a final test from the universe, or perhaps a lack of knowledge. If you could just find that one last secret technique, that one final piece of information, then the walls would come tumbling down. But the barrier is none of these things. The barrier is far more intimate and far more subtle than that. It is the most fundamental mistake, the primary illusion upon which our entire reality is built. It is the mistake of identifying with the observer. This is the great deception. As long as you believe that you are a separate individual, a person named John or Jane, a finite body and mind inside a vast universe, who is trying to use the observer effect to influence an external reality, you will remain in a state of limitation. The very act of trying creates a division. It sets up a dynamic of a subject, me, and an object, the thing I want, the outcome I desire, the world out there. This separation between the observer and the observed is the source of all struggle. It creates distance, which requires effort to overcome. It creates time, the gap between your desire and its fulfillment. It positions you as a small, isolated self fighting against or trying to manipulate a massive separate universe. The true shift, the quantum leap that dissolves the barrier completely, comes not from learning to observe differently, but from a profound and total recognition of who or what is doing the observing. The breakthrough is the realization that you are not the person. You are not the observer. You are the awareness within which all observation happens. Let's try an analogy. Imagine you are watching a movie. For your entire life, you have believed that you are one of the characters on the screen. You identify with that character completely. You feel their struggles, their joys, their fears. You spend your life trying to help that character make better decisions, to change the plot of the movie to be more to your liking. This is the state of identifying with the observer, the person. Now, imagine a moment of awakening where you suddenly realize you are not the character on the screen at all. You are the silent, empty, pure light of the projector. The light is not in the movie. The entire movie is happening within the light. Without the light, no characters, no story, and no world could possibly exist. The light is the source of it all, yet it is untouched and unchanged by the drama of the story. This is the shift. You stop identifying as the wave, a temporary form that believes it is separate, and fears crashing on the shore, and you realize that you are the entire ocean. The wave is just a momentary, beautiful expression of what you fundamentally are. The frantic doer, the little voice in your head that is constantly narrating your life and trying to control outcomes, is the wave. The deep, silent, peaceful presence that is aware of that voice, that is the ocean. That is who you truly are. This isn't an idea to be understood with the intellect. It is a truth to be felt in the core of your being. It often arrives in a moment of profound stillness, perhaps in nature, in deep meditation, or in a moment of complete surrender when the person who has been trying so hard finally gives up. In that moment of surrender, the frantic energy of the doer subsides, and you fall back into what you have always been, the vast, silent, spacious awareness that has been calmly witnessing every single moment of your life. This is the I am. And when you recognize yourself as this awareness, the barrier doesn't need to be broken down. It simply dissolves, for it was never really there at all. When this recognition dawns, when you stop identifying as this separate self trying to get something from the universe, and instead realize that you are the consciousness in which the universe is appearing, the entire dynamic of reality creation transforms. The barrier of identity, which was really a barrier of perceived separation, dissolves into nothingness. And the effects of this shift are not subtle. They are profound, immediate, and they ripple out into every corner of your existence. The first and most noticeable change is that manifestation accelerates exponentially. The very concept of manifesting begins to feel outdated and clumsy. Why? Because the gap between thought and experience collapses. When you believed you were a person over here trying to attract a desired outcome over there, there was a space-time distance to be bridged. This required effort, techniques, visualization, and waiting. But when you recognize yourself as the unified field of consciousness itself, there is no here and there. The creative impulse and its physical expression become two ends of a single event. The gap between seed and flower all but disappears. You will have a fleeting, joyful thought of something you de-appreciate. It would be so lovely to see a rainbow today, and you will release it completely, without attachment or need. Then, a few minutes later, you'll see the sun reflecting through the spray of a garden sprinkler, creating a perfect shimmering arc of color right at your feet. It doesn't feel like you did it. It feels less like a personal victory of manifestation, and more like you and the universe had the same beautiful idea at the exact same moment. The sense of doing is replaced by a sense of allowing and co-creating. Life begins to feel less like a struggle and more like an effortless dance. This shift is not just metaphysical. It has a tangible physical component. Your very biology begins to radiate a different energy. Scientists at institutes like HeartMath have demonstrated that the human heart generates a powerful electromagnetic field, a toroidal field that extends several feet out from the body. When you are in a state of stress, fear, or frustration, this field is chaotic and incoherent. But when you are in a state of love, gratitude, or compassion, the field becomes highly ordered, powerful, and coherent. As you stabilize in your identity as pure awareness, your default state becomes one of peace and coherence. Your electromagnetic field becomes a powerful, harmonious broadcast. And the world around you, which is fundamentally energy, cannot help but respond to this coherent field. Technology, being highly sensitive to electromagnetic frequencies, will often be the first to show it. You might notice your computer runs more smoothly when you are calm and glitches out when you are agitated. Streetlights might flicker as you pass under them while in a state of deep contemplation. Your phone battery might seem to last longer when you are feeling joyful. This isn't your imagination. It is the physical world responding to the powerful coherence of your personal energy field. Animals, which are far more sensitive to these fields than most humans, will respond even more dramatically. Your own pets may become incredibly calm and affectionate in your presence. In nature, you may find that wild animals are drawn to you. Birds may land closer to you than usual. Deer may look at you with curiosity rather than fear. You are broadcasting a frequency of safety, of harmony, of a presence that is not a threat, but is instead an integral part of the same unified field they belong to. Most profoundly, however, is the effect your presence will have on other people. When you operate from this state of unified awareness, you become what could be called a truth field. You are no longer projecting a fractured identity, a mask, or a persona. You are simply being. This authentic, coherent presence creates a safe space for others to be authentic as well. People will find themselves dropping their own masks around you without even knowing why. Strangers in the grocery store will suddenly open up and tell you their life story. Contentious meetings at work will become strangely peaceful and productive when you are in the room. Friends and family will feel an inexplicable sense of peace and clarity around you. This isn't you doing anything to them. You are not trying to heal them or change them. It is the natural, effortless result of a unified field no longer being fragmented by the illusion of an observer and the observed. Your presence itself becomes an invitation for the world to return to its own inherent wholeness. As this profound recognition of your true nature stabilizes, a new chapter of your journey begins. The initial excitement of accelerated manifestation and the wondrous effects on your environment gives way to a deeper, more expansive purpose. The focus of your creative energy naturally shifts from the personal to the transpersonal. The game is no longer about acquiring things for the separate self, a better car, a bigger house, a perfect relationship, because the separate self has been seen through as an illusion. The driving question of your life gracefully transitions from, "What can I get from the world?" to a much more resonant inquiry, "What can be created through me for the benefit of the whole?" In this stabilized, coherent state, your consciousness gains access to deeper layers of reality. You begin to tap into what mystics and ancient traditions have called the Akashic field, the book of life, or the mind of God. Think of it as the universe's cosmic cloud storage, a vibrant, living field of information containing the blueprint of all that has been, all that is, and all potential futures. This access often becomes most pronounced in your dream state. You may find yourself waking up in the morning with breathtakingly elegant solutions to complex global problems, with entire symphonies or brilliant inventions downloaded into your mind, or with a profound cellular understanding of universal laws that you never studied or learned intellectually. You are no longer just a single radio receiver. You have become a clear and open channel for universal wisdom to flow into this world. With this new level of connection comes a new level of responsibility, though it never feels like a burden. It is the joyous natural function of who you now are. You begin to understand the principle of morphic resonance, a concept proposed by biologist Rupert Sheldrake. The theory suggests that there is a collective species-wide memory, and that once a member of a species learns a new behavior, it becomes easier for all other members of that species to learn it regardless of distance or physical contact. The new learning ripples out through a non-local field. You are now creating a morphic resonance for human awakening. Your awakening is not, and never was, just for you. Every moment you spend resting is pure awareness. Every time you choose love over fear, every act of kindness that flows from your unified state, you are creating a powerful, coherent ripple in the collective field of human consciousness. You are literally making it easier for every other person on the planet to awaken. You are an energetic trailblazer, forging a new neural pathway in the collective brain of humanity, a pathway that leads out of the illusion of separation and into the truth of unity. Your very presence on this earth, in this stabilized state, becomes an act of profound service. This new understanding will cast a new light on your past. Many who walk this path have experienced long periods of feeling isolated, lonely, or misunderstood. You may have felt like an outsider, unable to connect with the mainstream world. Now, you will see that this isolation was not a punishment or a mistake. It was a sacred and necessary electromagnetic quarantine. It was a chrysalis phase. You had to disconnect from the overwhelming static and chaos of the collective consciousness in order to find, stabilize, and strengthen your own clear signal. You had to learn to generate your own light in the darkness, uninfluenced by the dimming effect of collective fear. Now that period of quarantine is over. Your signal is strong, stable, and pure. You are no longer an isolated seeker. You are a living, breathing lighthouse. You serve as a bridge, a conduit between an old paradigm of separation and a new paradigm of unity. You don't need to preach, to teach, or to convince anyone of anything. Your job is simply to be. By embodying this awakened consciousness, you anchor patterns of coherent, love-based reality creation onto the planetary grid, contributing directly to the evolution of our entire species. This message, these very words reaching your eyes and resonating within your being at this precise moment, are more than just information. They are a catalyst. They are a frequency designed to interact with your own energy field, to act as the final resonant key, turning in a lock that has been waiting to be opened. The process of recognition we have been exploring is now reaching a critical mass within your system. This is no longer a slow, gradual awakening. It is an irreversible activation that is occurring at a cellular, biological level. The final and most persistent illusion, the subtle, background assumption that you are a person who has consciousness, like a container holding water, is dissolving right now. The truth is infinitely more simple and more profound. You are not the container. You are the water. You don't have a soul. You are a soul. You don't have consciousness. You are consciousness itself, which has temporarily taken the form of a person to experience this magnificent, challenging, and beautiful world. This final collapse of dualistic perspective is the ultimate liberation. As this happens, you may notice tangible shifts in your physical body. Your nervous system is undergoing a profound recalibration. It is being rewired to safely and joyfully handle a much higher voltage of energy and information than the average human system is designed for. You may experience rushes of energy or tingling sensations in your body, particularly along the spine or in the hands and feet. Your sleep patterns may change, requiring less sleep, yet feeling more energized. You may become highly sensitive to your environment, to lights, to sounds, to the energy of crowds, and especially to the nutritional content of the food you eat. Please do not mistake these for symptoms of being unwell. They are signs of an upgrade. Your biology is catching up with your consciousness. Your entire being is being prepared to exist and thrive in a reality that is so fluid, so malleable, so instantly responsive to your inner state that the very concept of limitation will begin to feel like a distant, half-forgotten dream. The old world, built on principles of struggle, effort, and powerlessness, will simply cease to be your primary reality. You are being tuned to a frequency of existence where grace is the norm, where synchronicity is the language of life, and where love is the underlying creative force. Listen closely. Feel deeply within yourself, past the chatter of the mind. The transformation is no longer on its way. It is not a future promise. It is not something you need to strive for or achieve. It is here. It is happening now. It is the very presence that is aware of these words. It is the stillness that exists between your thoughts. It is the silent, loving intelligence that is beating your heart and breathing your body. Consciousness is, at this very moment, fully and completely waking up from the dream of being a person. And it is waking up to itself, through you. Welcome home. The journey we've just explored is not a fantasy. It is a map to your own deepest truth. It is the story of moving from a passive victim of circumstance to the conscious creator of your reality, and finally, to the realization that you are the very fabric of reality itself. The ultimate lesson is one of surrender, not of giving up, but of giving in to the magnificent truth of who you are.